Peace, y'all. Yeah, we're gonna have to do this live because I was just on before and for some reason from my other phone, like it didn't upload the video that I was doing. So anyway, let me get straight to the point on this one. This one here is a declaration for appellation correction, not not a name change per se, but more so appellation correction. And up here on my heading, I have in the name of Allah, declaration for appellation correction, you know, by Lord Messiah Allah. When you put the by in the two colons, that represents anything after the colons represents a fact. So by Lord Messiah Allah, which is a fact. Christopher Johnson in the building. Peace, God. Appreciate your attendance. Yeah, we appreciate your attendance, God. Everybody logging on, everybody that's in the building. So here, you see up here on my New York, old ID, where I'm New York State identification card. This is what everybody has in their wallet. You know, I have to say, what's in your wallet? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. Aryeh Bay is in the building. Peace. All right, so basically, in the name of Allah, nation of God's earth, declaration for appellation correction. And I'm gonna try to get through this kind of quick because it's kind of long. So it says, why is my screen going black? Pardon me, y'all. Anyway, so to whom it may concern, this is a legal and lawful. To whom it may lawfully and legally concern. Rock Conscious in the building. Peace. Has been a member and representative of the nation of God's earth for the past 20 years. He is an active and respected member in the nation of God's earth. It is a rite of passage that those who are members of our nation change their given names to their own chosen and righteous appellations. And yeah, peace, Moquan Devon in the building. Yeah, peace to the God. This is where I actually got the template from to build on, and I kind of, added onto it to alter it to my personal, information. So therefore, this is a legal/lawful notice to inform all concerned parties, employers, organizations, etc., that Taiwan of the Hardy family, also known as, you see the different variations of the name. Now, the first letter capital, rest lowercase, is capitis media diminutio. All lowercase, like how I put my righteous name here, is capitis minimum diminutio, which means you reserve all your rights and you lose no status. Capitis maximus diminutio means you name it all capital letters and you lose all your status, and that's basically a slave. So that's why they always sending you letters in the mail with your name in all capital letters on your ID, you know what I'm saying? If you have a New York State ID or whatever ID they identify you by, so you got to put my name in all caps, you know what I'm saying? But they told me to sign here and put it in, they put the name in capitis maximus diminutio, which means represents a slave, but then they want you, the real living being, to sign your nature signature. They want you to sign your nature on paper so that you could be held liable for the all capital letter name. You know what I'm saying? The so-called straw man. They want you to be liable. But they don't ever tell you write your name in all lowercase so that you lose no status and all your rights are reserved. They don't ever teach you that. Ronald William in the building. Peace. Appreciate your attendance. So, so now, and I just put in some information. I'm not going to read out this whole thing. Like, if y'all want to stop it and pause it, y'all could, no, I'm going to read it. Fuck it. You know what I mean? So, basically all variations of the name. So you see I put my name in different styles, you know, Capitis Media Diminutio, Capitis Maximus Diminutio, and sometimes they flip your name around and put your last name first and your first name, you know, last. They might put, and I should have put the initials in there too. They might put like a T Hardy or H Taiwan. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll put the initial first and then, you know, so forth. So so in all other variations, his given name has been corrected to his cultural and righteous and or religious appellation. Now, yeah, we know we're not a religious people. However, I left or I put religious in there just to acquire the benefits of quote-unquote religion, because a lot of things are acknowledged through religion in this country, although, you know, we know we're not religious people, but that's the terminology that they use. So, you know, I put cultural, righteous, and or religious appellation, if that's what some want to call it, or that's how certain people may acknowledge it as, you know what I'm saying? So, it's just covering all grounds. Hassan Boel in the building. Peace, God. Appreciate your attendance as well. Brother Arad Bay, if you want to come in the building, God, you're welcome to come and add on. So yeah, you've been at, and if somebody else wants to come on, just let me know. Well, you know, I can only add one at a time, but you know. So anyway, all right, so now, okay, so now I put, after I declare what my name is, my righteous appellation is, yeah, peace, James. I can't see the attachment right now because you see I'm live. I'm in the middle of a build, but I will check out your, I will check you out. All right. So now, Lord Messiah Allah is recognized by Allah's 5%, Nation of Gods of Earth, as being a member in good standing among his peers. So now that's basically the end of the template, but now I just added some of my own personal information on here. Just basically stating that Lord Messiah Allah motu propria, meaning of my own will, my own accord, uh, of legal age of majority in full life, meaning an attorney in fact, because when you present self, I'm not going to say represent self, because when you so-called represent yourself, you're actually representing the all capital letter name, the so-called straw man. But when you present self, you're presenting self in your proper person. See what I'm saying? As an indigenous, as an indigenous being. And I am the father slash executor of slash for the offspring, Messiah Jaim Hardy and Michael Javel Hardy, which is soon to be changed to Allah, because that's that old name. We're trying to get rid of that, and we're gonna come in our proper person. So, in question and presiding at confidential address, confidential dwelling, actually. So I also put that, Lord Messiah Allah is competent, living, breathing, natural, indigenous, and self-claimed. Athean is to be recognized as alive at land under the common law of the land, the supreme law of the land known as the United States Constitution, and not dead at sea under the law of the sea known as admiralty or maritime law. So basically letting you know what I am and what I'm not. You know what I mean? Plug around here. I might need to plug my phone in. Phone is dying, so. All right, Anthony Brother Man in the building. Peace. So yes, I'm now basically letting know who I am, and I also declare that the representation has notice and entitlement to all privileges and immunities of the several states at Article 1, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution of the United States via the full faith and credit of the annexed instrument. So in other words, if I take this instrument and say I attach it to a birth certificate or a certificate of live birth, now I'm gaining the instrumentality from that instrument, meaning that the annexed instrument, which will be the certificate of live birth, I'm basically receiving full faith and credit based upon that document. So, and then I'm attaching this to that. It's making it synonymous or in association with the full faith and credit clause. You know what I mean? Being that I'm stating in this document that I'm, making that knowledge born, that I'm putting that I'm asserting that right. So Lord Messiah Allah is presenting this affidavit of fact and truth as a private contract with lawful and legal binding instrumentality due to the attached evidence. So in other words, when I attach that certified, authenticated certificate of live birth, that's stating that being that that certificate has full faith and credit, that means that I am entitled to all those privileges or immunities, of the several states due to the full faith and credit clause and act. So also I'm stating that Lord Messiah Allah is with lawful and legally binding instrumentality due to the attached evidence in support of my motion or order for remedy, relief, restitution / reversion of estate properties. So in other words, any property that they may have held in the name of the so-called straw man, then in this all caps name, which is basically the estate, the name that represents the estate, then I am entitled to all reversionary interest, which means that like whatever interest they gained in that name, like ante up, that's mine. You know what I mean? I need to hand that over via a treasury check. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's a whole nother topic of discussion. Now, these maxims of law, and also, I put my offspring's names here as well. So now I'm entitled to any reversionary interest from those accounts as well. So now we got maxims of law. These are the maxims of law that's going to support my the documentation that I'm putting together. The first maxim of law is that truth is expressed in the form of an affidavit. Like I expressed all this truth here in the form of this affidavit. An unrebutted affidavit stands as truth in commerce. So now, whatever commercial activity that I'm dealing with, based upon this affidavit here being unrebutted, my truth or my affidavit is going to stand as truth in commerce. So in other words, if I say that I'm entitled to all the reversionary interest and nobody attests to that, then therefore I can make a claim for that all that reversionary interest, being that nobody rebutted. You know what I'm saying? An unrebutted affidavit stands as truth in commerce. So that's what I was showing y'all last week when I was at the court and I was going through the motion for default judgment. And I was breaking down basically that, I filed all this information on them. They never responded. And so what they was trying to be tricky. He figured if he responded, then he would know that I would actually have a chance to respond back to his response. And then if unagreed, then we would have to take it to trial. So he tried to deny me a trial where my evidence could be presented. But being that he did that this whole time, he probably thinking I was just going to be waiting on a trial or waiting for whatever. No. I served his ass, again, stating like, listen, I sent you a certificate of service. What's going on. I sent you a notice of default. You still didn't respond. And I gave him what they call an opportunity to cure. So that means that, like, look, I served you, you didn't respond. So in good faith, I'm giving you another chance to respond. And he still didn't respond. So now he's in default. And now I drew up the whole affidavit stating the fact that he's in default. And I used these maxims of law to show and prove. So now what's the next maxim after truth being expressed in the form of affidavit? An unrebutted affidavit stands as truth in commerce. In commerce, truth is sovereign. So now, if they don't respond to your affidavits, and that means that you have an unrebutted affidavit which will stand as truth in commerce. And in commerce, that truth will be sovereign. So now, once your truth is made sovereign, for the fact that it being unrebutted, there's nothing anybody can do to top that truth. You know what I'm saying? That truth is going to be sovereign. You understand? So, like, in other words, you have an unrebutted affidavit, you're standing before the judge, they don't have anything to say, then what you say just reigns supreme because it's the only thing that was said. So, you know, what else is there? It's only what you placed on the record. So, because, you know, the so-called judge, which is really a magistrate, he has to go according to the evidence that's presented before him. So you know how, you know, people could just go down to the court and say anything, and he's going to entertain it, and quite willingly, because this is how they get paid. They make cases out of all of this shit. You know, you've been down there in the court, man. You go down there, you see all these women coming in there. They make up all these lies. Oh, my son's father hit me, and my daughter started crying. And also, he hit you in front of the child. Oh, so what else did he do? Did he do this? Did he do that? They start even coercing the woman to start just rambling emotionally and all this stuff. They're taking note and making up a bigger case than what really need to be. You know what I'm saying? So they persist this shit. They want to keep this going. So this is why we got to learn law, and not just because of my personal situation, but everybody's situation. Everybody has a situation. Everybody has something that they're dealing with, and as to why we need to know law, you know what I'm saying, and definitely know these maxims of law, because these are like set precedents in law, you know what I mean? So now, what is the next one? It says a lien or claim can be satisfied only through rebuttal by affidavit, point by point, resolution by jury, or payment. So there was, in my particular case, there was no payment, there was no resolution by jury, and the affidavit was not responded to point by point. Now also, this is another thing too. Sometimes you want to keep your affidavit short and sweet so that, you know, the judge ain't got so much to go over and he can kind of clearly see what it is that you're saying. But also sometimes you want to make that shit mad long because they're going to have to respond point by point. So if you put like over 100 points in your affidavit, you know what I'm saying? Like, they ain't going to respond to all of that. So that means that now you didn't respond completely. You only responded to 67 of my points, and I got 102 points. You missing a lot of points. You know what I'm saying? So like, you missing like 30-something points. So now you failed basically. It's kind of like you taking a test and you get like 65% on the test. And you didn't make 100. You know what I'm saying? Like, you failed. Yeah. And it's not even out of a measurement of 100. It's just basically you gotta meet it. You gotta meet the whole criteria. Everything I put, you gotta answer to. Because if you don't answer to it, then it remains as truth. It remains sovereign. So now, an unrebutted affidavit becomes the judgment in commerce. So yeah, so if you got an affidavit and they haven't been responded to it, it's unrebutted, it's standing as truth in commerce, and that truth is sovereign, then that sovereign truth as an unrebutted affidavit becomes judgment in commerce, because that's all the judge has to rule off of now. So he has to make that decision. Rainez, Eric in the building. Peace. Thanks for watching. We appreciate your attendance. Jeremiah J Rock Snell in the building. The second, you know, we appreciate your attendance as well. Yeah, everybody that's in the building, I appreciate your attendance. You know, I don't want to be out here just talking to myself. You know what I'm saying? It's good to got somebody listening, you know what I mean? I could utilize this information. So now, unrebutted affidavit becomes the judgment in commerce. So that's going to be basically what the judge has to rule off of. You know, in commerce, for any matter to be resolved, it must be expressed. So now, even though the judge got my affidavit and he read all this information, he's still going to have to put me to the test. Like, in other words, I'm going to have to express this truth. So basically all I'm going to do, because like, yo, my thing was perfectly written. All I'm going to do is just go in there and start reading my affidavit, which is the shit that they should have done. Everton in the building. Peace. Goldburn in the building. Everton Goldburn. Peace. Thank you for attending class today. And yeah, so now, even though they have my affidavit, and he has everything, so basically, but I'm gonna still have to come in, like I say, and express this truth. So now, I have an inquest that I have to do based on the unrebutted affidavit, based upon the affidavit of motion for default. Now, we're going to have an inquest where he's there. The opposing attorney is not going to be there. So I'm basically just going to have my chance to state everything that I need to state, and basically just break down everything I broke down in my affidavit. Like, look, I sent them a certificate of service. I sent them a certificate of non-response, basically stating that he didn't respond. And then I sent him an opportunity to cure. He still didn't cure in good faith. And so now, just that shows that he's like not willing to resolve the matter. So, and now, remember now, another maximum law: he who leaves the battlefield first loses by default. So, in other words, he didn't come to resolve any matter. He didn't express any matter to resolve anything. So therefore, he basically left the battlefield. I served him. You didn't say anything. You just ignored me. That basically means that you left the battlefield. You know what I'm saying? Like, he came to a few court appearances and didn't say anything on the record. I stated my facts on the record. He didn't say anything back. So now he's in default. So now, sacrifice is the measure of credibility. So in other words, now, if he didn't show any sacrifice, then his measure of credibility is like way low now. The judge is going to look at him like, look, man, he got all this evidence against you. He served you. You didn't say anything. He served you again. He didn't say anything. He gave you opportunity to cure. You still didn't say anything. He stood before us. He verbally basically embarrassed you in front of the court, stating that you're misrepresenting your client and that you have nothing to say, and therefore, like, you're not doing a good job, basically. And you still didn't say or respond or do anything. So now, man, your measure of credibility is very low. You're not being looked upon in high prestige, high, because the judge is working for the Bar Association, the lawyer is working for the Bar Association. So actually and technically, that's a conflict of interest, because they're not going to go against each other necessarily to help you. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, they are dealing in a conflict of interest. So anyway, now, autographed, endorsed, and sealed by. This is my autograph, and when you autograph something, you're actually endorsing the document. This is what gives it its validity. Just like they will tell you to sign your check before you cash it, that means you're endorsing it. Your signature or your autograph is your endorsement. And now I'm going to put my seal on here. I didn't do it in front of the notary necessarily because, for one, I didn't have to. But also, I could have. But also, and then he told me too, oh, we want to make sure you want to write that in black. I was like, no. I bust out I pointed to my card. I said, yeah, that's my new phrase now, man. I'm a Moorish American national. Anytime I say Moorish American national, they just be like, oh, okay. They don't say nothing. Just be like, oh, okay, all right. So I said, yeah. So I pointed to the card. I said, yo, well, as a Moorish American national, you know what I'm saying? We it's part of our culture that we write in red. And actually, I got that from the sister at the library, who said that to the so-called supervisor to help me out when I was trying to get my card in the name of the in my righteous name. You know what I'm saying? Which is right here. So I was like smoothly dropping some Moorish science on the original woman at the desk, and she was basically willing to help me out. She told the lady, "Oh no, it's because of his culture. He has to sign in red and lower cases and so forth." Now she did tell me that in the system it's lowercase, and that was not correct. Because when I sign in, it says "Welcome, Lord Messiah Allah," but it's all capitals. So in the system, they have my name in capitals. Now, the kid that fixed the thing for me, he could have did that yesterday, and I'm about to check him on that too. I'm gonna tell him like, yo, my name is supposed to be in all lower cases. And I'm gonna show him the reason why. So I'm gonna break down the capitis maximus, media, and minimum for him, so he understands this is the reason why you need to correct that. And really, I could just tell him that's how I want my name. I could just say, yo, I'm a Moorish American national, so you gotta put my name like that, and he gonna do it, just cause. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, word. Like that lady the other day, she was like, And I had took a picture of the Peace Christine Totally in the building. David Hammond in the building. Appreciate your attendance in class today. Yeah, so just like what was I gonna say? I lost my point. Anyway. Oh. And yeah, so this see now that card right now. Let me cover up some certain information because I don't want certain info to be out there. Just cover that up. Bam. Okay. So now we got the the benefit card. This the New York State, and on the old cards they took it off now because people was using their EBT card as a form of ID because even on the ID it used to say New York State identification card. If you got one of them benefit cards from like a couple years back, it used to say New York State identification card, and then they tried to stop people from using that because it's a form of ID that you could basically get free. You ain't got to go pay the DMV $10 for their freaking ID. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, and you notice here on the ID number or the account number, they got AU. They don't got 79, which is an atomic symbol for gold, but AU is a symbol for gold. So the electronic benefit transfer, which is EBT, the electronic benefits that are on this card is actually your gold translated in the form of electronic benefits. You know what I'm saying? And this is how they fulfill the duty of HJR 192. And pursuant to HJR 192, it states that, in a nutshell, that the so-called government is responsible for paying the debts of the American people, being that they took the gold from the people and nobody was able to cash in their money for gold, and they basically got jerked, and then they gave them these fake FRN notes, Federal Reserve notes to go by, and now everybody's using this fake money in replace of the gold. And now everybody's mad at Trump, but do you know that Trump is like working on signing orders to bring us back to the gold standard? Which means that if we claim that we're indigenous to the land and we own the land and gold is in the land, then we have a resource of gold we need to tap into. That's another topic of discussion. So now, as y'all see, I got my New York State Department of Health medical marijuana program registry identification card. Down to 5%, y'all. My phone about to go off. But when it go off, I'm about to go charge up and be back in the building. So, yeah, and you notice they use the same picture from here that's on my New York State ID, because basically they just transfer the picture from your New York State ID to this ID here, because they're all, New York State, they're all Department of Health, Department of Motor Vehicle, Department of whatever. All these departments are all linked together. So basically when they made this card for me, they just took the picture from my New York State ID and transferred it. And yeah, y'all, this is in New York now. They don't have the leaf, the flower, but they have the vape, the vape pen. They have the dab stuff you put under your tongue, and they got a pill form which is supposed to like keep you stimulated for like 16 hours, they say. And I never tried it, but I don't know. But if it is really like that, man, shit, about to have them shits on deck. But anyway. Yeah, so, now what I need to do is change all these IDs and go down there and tell them, listen, I'm in my proper status now, and I need to change all these names to my my proper name. Now, does that change the status of these associations? To a degree. I think it kind of brings you to like a state of like capitis media diminutio, meaning where your lawful rights, you don't necessarily have the rights as your indigenous status, but now they kind of want to make you legally liable for the name. So then you come back under that wardship status. So it's like I don't want to go back down to these corporations and give them my indigenous name and then have them just make a corporation. Let them know, listen, just because I'm acquiring this information from you doesn't mean that I'm changing or affecting my my status. All right. So anyway, I'm gonna seal this for y'all, and that's gonna be the last thing I do. Then I'm gonna come back on and we can do some more. Matter of fact, I'm gonna seal it, and when I come back on, I'm gonna show y'all, that it's